everybody? I am your host, Lutch, aka the IndianJesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How is everybody doing tonight? Really quick, I want to give a shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much, guys, for coming back to check out the live show, even though you missed the live party. That's the best part. Don't worry, you will still very much enjoy this, but make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And also want to say a big thank you to the sponsor of the stream, mysickshirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The IndianJesus official merch. Only at mysickshirt.com. All right. What is going on, everybody? I am very excited for this one. We were talking about feminists yesterday, or not yesterday, Monday, actually, but we're not done. We're not done. The panel that we had covered we had to cover that, but we have more feminist BS that's just going out there to the masses, and they're just eating it up. So you guys know Jubilee. We've done a number of shows about their middle ground series where they have a prompt, and then they have people on one side or the other side agree, disagree. You know how we do it. So this one is male feminists versus male non-feminists. So let's dive into it. And of course, you guys know the sound on StreamYard can sometimes be screwy. So if you cannot hear the video, please let me know.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Women have it easier than they think they do.
Okay, so the first prompt is women have it easier than they think they do. We know that that's the case. We know that that's the case. But I'm going to assume that these feminists, these male feminists, are not going to step forward.
With feminism, it's kind of brainwashed women to think that they are victims in 99% of cases, and all the disenfranchisement that they would claim in like colleges and careers. A lot of these careers are way easier to get into for women than they are for men because they're looking to hire women because of feminism.
Yep.
Yeah, like in divorce and stuff, they get more property, the kids' rights, all that.
Yeah.
But more so, I think that from the jump, actually have it easier. Like men need to be a provider. You're taught to be tough. Oh, why are you crying? Don't be a girl. But when a girl is crying or a girl is upset or anything that happens, usually they're a princess and they're given the world.
Well, yeah.
And we just saw that play out in real time on the world stage. The biggest manly man, whatever, toxic masculinity, anything that you want to think about. Andrew Tate was just in a Twitter battle with Greta Thunberg, who's supposed to be the darling of the left. And what is something that on the left is a super big deal? Body positivity, right? And so that would mean that body shaming is a terrible thing, right? But then they all cheered for her. So I guess rules for thee, but not for me.
Because with women, they're born with their value. They innately have value. They can create life, and they're extremely valuable from birth. For men, it's not really the same way. You have to make something of yourself to be respected.
Exactly.
This guy's actually talking a little fast. Let's slow her down and get right into it.
Like a pretty woman can go far just using her face. A man can't do that. A man
Pretty privileged.
can't go to a
Actually, that's not true. A man can do that, but he's got to be way higher on that scale for that to work out.
rich businessman or like a businesswoman and be like, I'm good looking. Let me come to your yacht.
Right.
A woman can.
Right.
Let's bring the disagreeers forward.
Oh, yes. And so as we thought, every single male feminist said no, that women do not have it easier than they think they do. But there was also these two on screen right now. They are both on the non-feminist side, and they didn't step forward. So let's see what they have to say.
I have a quick question. Just a second ago, you were saying that
So it says feminist here. Let's get rid of these.
a pretty woman could go on to a rich man's yacht, and that would be kind of her ticket on, right? Okay, so did that help women vote at all, being pretty?
But what is that?
What? No, it doesn't help women vote. Did anybody say that getting onto a yacht because you're pretty helps you vote? Oh, so we're already starting with the straw manning. Yay!
I'm just asking because I mean, when
I'm
we're
just
talking
asking,
about
bro.
women's lives being better than they think they are, would you rather
Right.
be pretty and be able to get on a yacht or have your liberties?
What are we living in, like 1950s or 2020s?
Exactly. Like, bro, Quentin, I don't know if you know this, but women have had the right to vote for quite a while. And at that point, feminism absolutely was something that we needed. Maybe he's living in 1950. Who knows?
Dude, they
Women
already
had
have the right to vote.
for a long time.
I think something you specifically said
We
shows
got Tucker here, also a feminist. If you couldn't tell by the way he looks.
to me why women don't have it easier. I think it was you who said women already have their value. Their value is already obvious because they can have children. I don't want to
Yep.
put you into box, but there are large amounts of men. Women
Hey, we got a different shade of purple in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Said I don't entirely trust men, but I do understand why. Understand why what? Why they don't. Different shades said he used to be one of those guys. And that's good that you can have the mind that you understand that maybe you did some things that, you know, weren't ideal. That doesn't make you a terrible person, but you did some things that you probably shouldn't have done. And it affected people in a way that, you know, is now giving you a better understanding. So cheers to you, brother. Welcome to the party. Glad you are here.
are people that have children and then they raise the child and they be quiet.
And I think
That is a
Not at
problem.
all.
I think what was really evident to me when
Didn't realize I was muted. We have Josh here. If you couldn't tell by the way he looks, again, is a feminist.
both of y'all came up and talked was how indoctrinated into the patriarchy you are, right? You both come up and say,
Appreciate that. A different shade. Thank you for being here.
Hey, as men, we have to prove something. And those expectations that you put on yourself is a direct result of patriarchy and the systems that feminism is trying to dismantle.
Okay, so it's a direct. It's directly tied to what did he say? Because he made a claim here, but it didn't really make a lot of sense.
And those expectations that you put on yourself,
So the expectations we put on ourselves to be a man are a result of patriarchy. It has nothing to do with, you know, evolution or the fact that men always needed to be providers. It's patriarchy. Got it.
is a direct result of patriarchy and the systems that feminism is trying to dismantle.
As
So
are
I'm married
the values that women have that when they were born that you're talking about. Women did not create those.
Right.
Right,
Men
those,
did.
those are God
Hold on.
ordained. Men and women are both equal under God and in value as human beings.
So notice what happens here when our friend brings up God. I know that a lot of you who think this way, a lot of you who are conservative, a lot of you are against wokeness, a lot of you against feminists, all that stuff are religious people. Watch what happens as he brings up God.
In Genesis, you have a creation of both men and women that are made in God's
We're
image.
not
So
about
we
to
are
quote
both.
the Bible and like some feminist.
Hold on,
topic.
but so
I mean, we
so-
can.
We're operating in a country
Can we-
where there's a separation of church
we
and
get back?
state. You cannot use religion
Okay,
as,
agree with
as
that.
a
And the Bible
motivation
also
to
doesn't-
make
Immediately, these guys righteously have checked out of that line of thinking. So I get that it makes sense to him, the religious one, that these ideas of, you know, feminism don't align with what he believes is best for society. I agree. The ideas of feminism don't align with what is best for society. But the reason that you think that are very different than the reasons that I think that. And one of us has reasoning that is way more likely to convince other people than just saying, well, God says.
And tell women
legislation. If I hear one more person use religion as a reason to not give rights to people, I'm probably gonna fucking explode.
There it is. There it is. There it is. I keep on telling you guys, great. I'm glad that you love your church and you fit in your faith and your Judeo-Christian values and all of that. I do too. I do too. As an atheist, I do too. But that doesn't mean that that is the avenue that you want to take to get people to think on your side. Listen to this guy again. And I don't think he says one thing that I agree with. in this entire thing except for this.
Not use religion
Okay,
as,
agree
as,
with
as
that.
a
And the Bible
motivation
also
to make
doesn't tell women
legislation. If I hear one more person use religion as a reason to not give rights to people, I'm probably going to fucking explode. People using their own personal ideologies as an excuse to implement legislation over other people's lives are simply just not okay with the fact that they can't control everything around them.
And even though that is such a jump, well, you just want to control everything around you. No, it's just that I have these ideas because my religion brought me up to whatever. But that's not how these people hear that. So sure, you can die on that hill. You can talk all about God and the scripture and all of that all you want. But all you're doing is creating more male feminists.
Back to the prompt, I mean, I don't think that women have it easier than they think they do. And I think to just make blanket statements like women in society think they have it easy or men in
Okay, so
society
this is Clarkson here, the anti-feminist, but we'll get to it.
have it harder or whatever you want to say. I just think it's kind of naive. Sure, maybe some women think they have it easier, but that might not be because they're a woman. It might just be because of their own set of life challenges and vice versa.
Yeah, and I agree.
If you haven't seen this and you can point out what is different about this guy, Clinton, that we just heard from, you get a $5 Cash App before he says
One of the reasons that I am so passionately anti-feminist is
So again, we got CJ, who I believe this is the same guy who was on Timcast a couple days ago. I'd never heard of him. I saw a clip and it looks like the same guy, but maybe I'm just racist and they're both black. I don't know.
because I believe that feminism pits men against women. Men and women may be equal today, but they are not the same. But also, too, women are under a pressing assault today in this country. They're losing their ability to compete in sports, beauty pageants, also
Oh,
just
boy.
basic things like that to people that identify as women. And no one is talking about it. Feminists aren't talking about it. So now you have conservatives having to fight for women's equality. And
You're making some pretty blanket statements saying feminists don't care about it. And you say,
Well, it's not I mean, maybe it's a blanket statement, but it's appropriate to use a blanket statement when you don't hear feminists sticking up for women in these issues. So yeah, okay, it's a blanket statement. Is it wrong?
you think that all women just are against
well,
men.
to answer your question,
More straw manning. This is what these people do. Nobody said anything about being against all this, that, anything. So you're just saying you're against it? No, dude. Stop trying to win the argument and just have the conversation.
yeah, you're talking about women. Women are not all feminists.
Yeah.
There are plenty of feminists who are very anti-woman. You know, you saw it during in the political era where you have people who will attack Kayleigh McEnany and Kellyanne Conway because they aren't pro-women. They're not for the girls.
So you
Actually, we have like just a little bit left. I haven't heard Kevin yet.
Well, maybe Kevin needs to step up and be a man and speak out if he wants to be heard. Instead of having a woman stop a conversation among men to make sure one man can get his word in. Just saying.
Yeah. When you talked about the pressures of being a man and having to provide and having to prove your value as a man, I think those are real challenges that men face. That's why women have it harder too, because they are also being impacted by how aggressive men feel like they need to be able to secure the role that they have to play in society.
So men have it really hard. Therefore, women have it even harder because they have to deal with the men. Come on.
But the reality of today is that because of the systems that we're in, the patriarchy is negatively impacting not only women, but also men.
There's no.
All right. So we got that was the first prompt. And I think it gave us a good idea of where these people stand. So if we're going to look at the lineup here, this was the one that said you're going to say all feminists hate men or all women hate men. This guy was the one who said, religion. This is Kevin, who can't speak up. Quentin, who will get more about that. And then we got the non-feminist dudes who are kind of so far not really standing out too much, but they are, obviously in opposition to feminism.
Wrong reason to get an abortion.
Okay, I just wanted to get that word out of the way. There's no wrong reason to get a porridge. That's what we call it on this channel. There's no wrong reason to get a porridge. Do you agree or disagree? Of course, all the feminists step forward, but we do have one non-feminist.
So
Who
I'll
stepped
just
forward?
center the conversation.
Before they even go in, I know it's going to be something along the lines, well, we're a bunch of men. We shouldn't be talking about this. A woman's body is this. It's not a human life. Are there any other pro-porridge arguments? Are there any others? Or is it just, if you're dumb enough to understand those four things, then you can be pro-porridge. Otherwise, you're pro-life.
Around the very fact that, you know, we're a group of 8 men, the optics of 8 men in a room talking about when women do and don't deserve to get an abortion it's a bad look. So like,
Looks to me like a bunch of men sitting around a room determining when does life begin. That's the core of the question. So if that's something that only women can talk about, I'm going to need a reason as to why.
for me, from a personal
For me,
standpoint, you know, I have a girlfriend. There might be some reasons on a personal level where her and I have
who we got in the building, yo? Say hello. Say hello. I feel like I'm talking to myself here. I know a different shade of purple said he's working, but who else we got in the building? Say hello.
having that conversation together. I might say, oh, I think we should do this. I think we should do that. On a legislative level, I don't feel confident enough to legislate when someone is and isn't allowed to get health care.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what abortion is. It's health care.
Yeah. One of the
Is it though? I don't know. I kind of feel like that begs the question. Is porridge healthcare? I don't know. Hey, we got Indie Film in the building. Welcome, 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 brother. Glad to see you. It's been a while. Glad you are back. Hope you are doing well. Hope everything is going good with the family, and I am very glad you are here. Just like J Supreme in the building. How are you? Good to see ya. So they did the Jubilee middle ground feminist versus or male feminist versus non-feminist, and
paramount ideologies of, I guess, being a quote unquote male feminist is just the ability to mind your own business. Right.
Yeah, mind your own business, but also you're going to allow people to murder others. Would you consider it minding your own business if some lady was getting murdered on a train that you were on? You're like, well, I'm just, part of being a feminist is just minding your own business. You see how it falls apart immediately. Different Shade of Purple says, in a very few instances, porridge is healthcare. Otherwise, it is a choice. That is 100% agree. There are few situations that it is healthcare. But those few situations are the situations. And those are the exceptions, not the rule, as Quentin here and the other feminists are trying to make it seem. Good point. Good distinction, Purple.
Just to be able to say that this is the wrong reason to have an abortion, you're already headed down the wrong path. Yeah.
So being an anti-feminist, I look at this and I say, well, I am more religious as well.
As am I.
So I want to say, like, I'm more like,
are you though? How religious are you when you're, saying, oh, it's perfectly fine if we murder babies?
pro-life, right? But if a woman decides that they want to not give birth, it doesn't matter the reason. Maybe she's not wealthy enough. Maybe the father left her. There's so many reasons. And then I also look at like just gun violence and how we're like birthing kids and we raise them and send it to school knowing that it can get killed. I don't know. I would feel like
it's like not a safe. It's not the best world to be raising a child in.
Exactly.
I think a patriarchal element, even in your answer, not to combat or what have you, the idea of trying to cycle through the reasons why and going, yeah, I guess those make sense, is still, in my opinion, patriarchal.
Even though I was on the feminist side on that topic, it feels like I was put in a position where I was framed as wrong. It felt like you aren't allowed to have this opinion on this topic because you're not a woman.
That is exactly. I didn't know. I didn't know how to stop it and say exactly that, but beautifully said. Even though he is agreeing with them because of where he's coming from, because he's not a woman, because he doesn't have the experience, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what his ideas are. You are just wrong. It doesn't matter. It's about who you are, not what you have to say.
And I think that's kind of bullshit, to be honest.
Off the top of my head, I know that was mentioned
All right.
earlier.
So these people coming in now do believe the prompt is there's no wrong reason to get a porridge. These people coming in now disagree with that.
That abortion is healthcare, and I first want to push back on that. Abortion is not healthcare. Healthcare preserves.
Except, as Purple pointed out, in those very few circumstances where it is in the case of the life of the mother, and then in which case it is healthcare. But those are few and far between.
Preserves life, it protects it. It doesn't take it away.
Ooh, that was bars right
It's
there.
not healthcare. Healthcare preserves life, it protects it. It doesn't take it away. It doesn't eliminate it.
What about the woman's life?
But when you exterminate a child, that is doing
Oh,
harm.
but it's
That
not
is
always a
healthcare.
child, right? So
That
it's,
is-
it's a discussion when it becomes a child or not. That's not a gray area. That's not a
It
line.
is actually scientifically proven. It is a separate
So we're
strain
talking
of
about science
DNA.
or-
Exactly. We talk about this all the time. DNA. There is no other place in the progress or the process of pregnancy that goes from not a thing to a thing, except for conception. There's no, some people will say, some pro-porridge people will say viability, heartbeat, brain activity, all of these things. The fact that they all have different answers means that it's not scientific. What is scientific is the creation of a new strand of DNA. And that happens at conception. Purple says it's only wrong when you're a man trying to comment on a woman's issue. Everybody has a say about what a man should be. Yeah, that part's definitely true. But even in the first part, I don't agree with that. What is a woman's issue that doesn't affect the rest of society? What is something that is unique to women that only affects women? Exactly.
At conception. If you ask any doctor,
But if you took that clump of cells out, would it survive?
it's not a
Well,
clump
we
of
are all
cells.
a
That's why you
If you let it birth, if you let it go all the 9 months and it gets birthed and you leave it on a table, is it going to survive? So that's a stupid argument, isn't it? Is it going to survive? It's a clump of cells. So is a little baby infant. If you just leave a baby infant on a table and walk out the room, it's going to be dead before lunch. Come on. Think. What did I say? It's all going to be talking points, and it's all going to be just regurgitated bullshit that we debunked years and years and years and years ago. Because these people don't read. They don't listen to anything except that which already reinforces what they already think. It's sad.
call it a
Self.
termination. Scientifically, it is a life at birth, and scientifically,
birth.
it is I'm
Did
sorry,
you
at
just hear?
conception. At conception,
sorry.
It is a
scientific.
life, but it is not a human.
So
Okay, how are you making that determination? What is it then? If it is a life, but it's not a human, then there's a species. There's a species it must be. That is, again, an unscientific statement. It's a life, but it's not a human. That's not true, bro. It is a human. I know you don't want it to be because that doesn't help your political stance, but it is what it is.
look, though, the thing is, so when you say it's about protecting life, abortions are protecting lives of thousands of women who maybe are not able to
At the
have,
expense of another life.
but you're already prioritizing that other life
Exactly.
over the woman
Right.
who's
No,
carrying that life.
Yes, we prioritize the lives of innocent children over adults who, for the most part, are making bad decisions. That's all it is.
I don't-
Treating
if you
them
Because of
look at the-
patriarchy too.
Because of
That's why
patriarchy.
you're doing it.
Because of
Because we've
patriarchy,
already
y'all are
devalued
basically
women.
saying that
So what
this-
if we're
Because of the patriarchy. They don't actually have any argument there. They just say that word. When they don't know what else to say, they just say, well, the patriarchy, the patriarchy, blah, 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 the patriarchy. What does that mean? What are you saying? What is the idea or message that you are trying to convey to me when you say that the patriarchy does this?
See, these
aborting a
cells
female
are more
baby.
important than the
I
woman.
think it's absolutely shameful how flippantly our society has begun to treat the topic of abortion. You are literally exterminating an unborn child.
to
That
protect
is
the
wrong.
life
That
of
is
another
wrong.
woman.
That's not, as pointed out by a different shade of purple. That is so very rarely the case, and we agree. In those cases, then there's nothing immoral happening. We are providing healthcare. We are saving somebody's life. We agree there. about everything else.
Then don't have sex without protection.
Really, you don't
And
have
get
sex without
contraception.
protection. How about you don't have sex?
Does he have a child? I don't think he has a child, and I'm pretty sure if you ask him, he's never had a porridge.
Well, I don't have a
Tell 'em what they
baby.
can do.
I don't have a
Right? Tell 'em
baby.
what they can do.
Stop
Yeah.
absolving women and
Yeah.
men
Yeah.
of responsibility and treating grown ass people like they are children.
Again, we're not emphasizing any of those things.
I just
Right.
We're going straight to women
Right.
and making it.
Yeah, right. Because we're talking about porridge, which is directly relevant to birth, which is something that only, I know this is going to hurt your ears, Quentin, but only women can do that. So that is why we are talking about women in the context of pregnancy.
Their problem.
Well,
Exactly.
it's a man's problem as well, because if a man gets a woman pregnant, that is his child as well. So one of the things that's really important, what abortion does, is it
Mhm.
puts all of reproductive rights in the hands of women when it takes both parties.
It's
But
very
it takes,
wild.
she cannot have a child without a man. Abortion normalizes women making bad choices. We've kind of given a free pass for people to be a lot more carefree about who they sleep with and not really think twice about the ramifications that may come of it.
And I mean, it's not even like, it's talking about talking points. It's not like we're getting anything super deep from the other side, but from the anti-feminists or the non-feminists or whatever they're calling themselves. But that's because they're being served up these base level things that it's like, really? I thought we debunked this in 2015. We're talking about, all right, I guess we got to talk about it.
But again, we're also,
Murder an
once
innocent
again,
child.
we're zooming in on a high level on the end result. We're not talking about the systemic issues that cause women to have abortions.
If
We're not-
we-
hold on. We're not talking about the lack of resources that make people feel like they cannot sustain a.
What resources are you lacking that makes you choose to get raw dogged? I'm pretty sure that those two things are not connected. Don't have resources, getting raw dogged. How are those connected, Quentin?
pregnancy or sustain a life.
Right.
And those are things that are caused by the way men have set up society. So
100%.
instead, hold on. So instead of talking about the actual issues from the top down and going the whole way, we go to the most oppressed person involved and make it their fault.
I love how whenever it's something wrong, it's what the men did. Men built society. But if we talk about how, well, look at our society, it's so great. This is what men built. All four of them would jump down your throats. Men didn't build society. Semantic obfuscation. Whatever meaning of whatever word fits their argument best at the time is what they're going to say.
Mansplaining is overly criticized.
Mansplaining does not exist. That is not a thing. That is just a man explaining a thing.
I frequently come across videos online where like a man will respond back to a broad generalization about women, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're just mansplaining it," as if men aren't allowed to have a voice in the conversation.
Exactly.
And I think that the term itself, it's just not really defined.
And mansplaining is just not real.
Yeah.
Like it just
There you
literally
go,
is a man
CJ.
explaining something, and these people get angry about it. Like that's the reality of the times in which we live. And it also hurts.
It has to. The main reason that this mansplaining thing is a thing is that women expect that they know better. So for you to have facts, for you to have ideas or an explanation of something, highlights the fact that they didn't have that explanation. And so instead of being like a normal person, a normal man, and just being like, oh, thanks for explaining that to me. I didn't know. Now I'm a smarter person. Thank you. Then they get mad, gaslight you, and throw it in your face. Hey, we got Mike in the building. Welcome, brother. Says, mansplaining does not exist. 100% agreed. Guys, if you are just joining us, we are checking out the Jubilee middle ground of male feminists versus male anti-feminists. And it's getting spicy. Welcome. Different Shade says, if you will call people up to a panel, I may be able to participate. I have a lot to say. Maybe, yeah, we'll definitely do. We could do a StreamYard panel tonight. Let's do it. So let's get through this video, and I want to hear what Different Shade of Purple has to say.
Hurts the ability of men to have conversations with women, because you think, oh wow, if I explain this issue to her, and I'm going to be accused of mansplaining, or I'm going to be accused of being sexist because I don't think she understands it. That's toxic, and it hurts women. It hurts men.
Great use of the word toxic. Great use of the word toxic. This is how you need to battle semantic obfuscation, is to use the word that they use against you, against them. Because masculinity in and of itself isn't actually toxic, but they call it toxic, and now toxic masculinity is a term. But, talking about patriarchy and all these things, that's toxic. That's problematic. But we try to take the high road, and we try to be better than them, as if we're playing the same game. and we are not. We are not. They are ready to go down in the dirt to get what they want. They are not looking to have good faith conversations. So, gotta do what you gotta do. Mike says, mansplaining is a way a woman tries to win an argument when she can't debate the issues. That's that sign language, shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. 100% agree, Mike.
And it's just not a way for us to have a functioning
And
society.
at its core, it's completely hypocritical, because the feminist plight is that women need to have a voice and they're being told they can't have a voice. And then they turn around and do the exact same thing and say, you're mansplaining me. You shouldn't have a voice about this topic because you're a man.
And we're targeted because of our identity, and no one cares about it because we're supposedly in positions of power. So we don't get to be victims. We don't get to say, oh, you should feel bad for us, because we're men. So we don't get to have the luxury of having the benefit of the doubt of society or the media or any of those things.
Unless you're black or gay or LGBT or some other thing is wrong with you. But even then, it doesn't really count. And there's only certain categories. It doesn't matter that most women are taller than I am. That absolutely affects my life. Now, am I going to cry about it? No. But it's a good example that I come back to all the time, because nobody gives a shit, nor should they. But a woman, any little issue, and we all have to cry about it. Hey, we got Chester the Aussie in the building. Welcome, buddy. Glad to see you. So toxic non-binaryism is worse than toxic masculinity. 100% agree, except for the fact that toxic masculinity doesn't exist. But I like that. Non-binaryism. I like that. Welcome to Mikey Story. Welcome. Great content creator. Definitely go check out his channel. He is doing lots of travel stuff, and it is blowing up. I'm loving it. What does Mikey say? I find it interesting how at this point there is all these defining words and slang words just to verify or justify points of view. Semantic obfuscation. This is what this is why I keep using that term. Semantic obfuscation. Exactly what Mikey is talking about. This is what they are doing. They are taking a language that already has words that mean things and twisting that ever so slightly, enough that you can still speak English, but enough that when they get into a jam, they can rejigger meanings and words and this and that, and you're bad. Remember before, the other dude that was on the anti-feminist side, that he was saying, even though I agreed with them, they made me feel like I was wrong simply because of who I am. Who are you? They're opposition. So I wouldn't say most women are taller than you. Well, I appreciate that, that you wouldn't say it, but it doesn't make it not true.
Things, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
All right. Yeah.
All right, so these are the people, of course, all the male feminists disagreed with the statement that mansplaining is overly criticized. Can anybody think as to what they could possibly be saying, possibly be thinking, to think that not only is mansplaining a thing, but it's overly criticized? Come on, guys.
I'm going to speak about mansplaining from a different perspective, because you guys are talking about controversial topics. I'm going to talk about it from just like a day-to-day perspective. In my relationship with my partner, how I try to be really mindful of mansplaining is when she is sharing her struggle. I think a tendency that can be conditioned in me through just
He's going to talk about solutions and how she just wants to listen, and how she just wants a shoulder to lean on, and that it's toxic masculinity to try to explain things. Because how dare you try to improve your girl's life? What an awful person you are. She told you a problem, and you thought of a solution just off the top of your head, and then you told it to her? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Make her happy? Make her happy? That's not how this works. If you make her happy, then she's going to be relying on you, bro. She don't want that. She's a strong, independent woman. Don't you get it? Mike says you never hear about toxic females. Over here you do. We talk about them nonstop. But yeah, you're not going to see it on CNN or ABC or MTV or any of those. Chester said, I wonder what the stats are. Maybe 20% of women. I'm 5'4". What's the average woman's height? It's got to be right around there. But yeah, so let's see if Kevin's trying to take this from a different perspective and not be talking about controversial issues, just with his partner. And I think he's going to go straight to trying to solve problems.
How men dominate and want to have to solve problems and all that is I want to jump in and just solve it and try to explain what's happening here and try to question her experience and be like, hey, like, well, did you think about this? Did you think about that? Well, I see this. That inherently in itself comes off as mansplaining, because what is the counter to mansplaining is actually getting consent from the other person.
You need consent from somebody who is telling you that they have a problem to give them advice on that problem. Otherwise, you're a toxically masculine man mansplaining. Here, gentlemen, here we have the quintessential beta male, the quintessential brainwashed. Yeah, yeah. This is what it looks like. How dare you try to help your woman? How dare you? Mike says, why can't it just be you're explaining or expressing yourself with having to say it mansplaining? Aren't you already a man? Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point, is that because it's just a man, mansplaining is just a man explaining something, then it's only wrong because you're a man. Because the explaining part's not wrong. If you're a woman and you're explaining things will be fine. It's the fact that you exist. But the liberals, the women, the LGBT activists, all that stuff, they'll be the first ones to talk about simply how simply discussing gender issues is erasing the existence of trans people. Semantic obfuscation. This is their tactic. If you complain about them, you're phobic. If you simply want to express yourself in a natural, organic way, you're problematic. Beta!
How do you want to be supported? Do you want me to support you and listen to you, or do you want me to help solve problems?
It's also, mansplaining is also not just a man having an opinion.
Isn't it though?
Right. That's not the situation.
All right, so okay, maybe we're wrong. Maybe there is a whole other version of mansplaining that is not a man explaining something. Maybe we about to learn something. Maybe Quentin is going to let us know. Just that she needs a good shag. My buddy have it now. That's the Aussie in him. Jay Supreme says he'll let his girl use the strap-on on him. Yikes. David Brent. We're Michael Scott over here, all right? This is America, Jack.
The idea is when a man interjects.
Okay, so this is mansplaining. The idea is when a man interjects
an opinion that he either is not fully educated on or does not have the appropriate empathy to be able to talk about.
What is the appropriate empathy to be able to talk about facts? There's a level of empathy that feminists believe is required to talk about cold, hard facts. Like this dude sounds more like a woman who is complicated than a man. Just saying what he thinks, period. I agree. It's just bleh. Just word vomit. It's just regurgitating the bullshit that they've been force-fed. Not one of these dudes has a thought of their own. Not one of these dudes. Fair enough. Fair enough. But he's funnier.
That's
Who-
what
how
I
is
was
that
saying.
different
Who
than a woman
qualifies
doing that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
completely
that's my
subjective.
issue.
Thank you. Thank you. All these dudes coming in and says, who's qualifying that? That is the perfect question because what you said makes no sense.
And
Is
feel
that-
free when a woman does that to say you're woman's planning. I
Well,
don't think
but-
that they'll
but
get very.
I don't-
Wait,
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 wait.
wait.
That doesn't
There's a
fix
reason
it.
that term doesn't exist
And that's
because you're not
childish.
allowed to do that towards women in
I
society.
promise you,
today.
if you did that, it would be
Doesn't-
just fine.
Would it though? If you did it, it would work out just fine. It would be just fine. You really? So you're telling me if I wrote something on the internet and a woman said something that I didn't agree with, or that she wasn't knowledgeable enough to speak on, or didn't have empathy for where I was coming from in the conversation, I could just tell her she's womansplaining and be right? Come on. Like, these men are here to solve problems. If a woman just wants someone to listen to them and agree, then they need to talk to another woman or a therapist. You can pay people to do that. That's not my fucking job. As your man, as the dude you fucking, whatever it is. Just so these kind of people just drive me insane. Well, that's exactly why we're covering it. That's exactly why we need to be able to understand the inner workings of these people's minds, so that when we see them out in the world, when a friend of a friend is at a party and this stuff comes up, you know what's going on. You don't blow up on them. You can blow up here. Well, fucking talk about how crazy Quentin is, but then we win the cultural battle by being better, by being smarter, by knowing more, by being able to take these stupid arguments and shut them down. Arguing about nothing, it's worse than watching a Big Brother. Well, shit, bro, come on. Like, can you not hate on my shit?
You just invented
It would be just fine.
Well, I think the difference is though, when if that were to happen to men, it wouldn't quiet our voices to being completely unheard. My wife is a physics and math teacher. If she has the answer to a question in a staff meeting, she's going to have to be louder than the men in the room, because that is the way society has conditioned people to operate, especially in male-dominated spaces.
Yeah.
That's what mansplaining is. I have one more question. Is it about the word?
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Is it
like
about the
That's a good question. Is it about the word? So real quick, Mike said he was on the panel, stand up and shut the fuck up, be a man and grow up. I agree. But the question of shit, I lost it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
That's what mansplaining people to operate, especially in male-dominated society.
Did we miss
She's
that?
going to have to be louder if she has the answer to a question in a staff
Did we just am I?
meeting. If that were to happen to men,
I missed the whole. I missed the whole thing. I had a thing. I don't remember him saying this, so I'm just gonna play it from here. But I just had a brain fart.
it wouldn't quiet our voices to being completely unheard. My wife is a physics and math teacher.
We definitely didn't hear this yet. What? I'm not crazy. Maybe I hit the wrong button.
Women in
That
society.
doesn't
There's a
fix
reason
it.
that term doesn't exist.
It would be if that were to happen to men, it wouldn't quiet our voice.
Right.
Well, I think the difference is though.
Okay.
If that were to happen
Oh,
to
it was
men,
right
it
there.
wouldn't
Okay.
quiet our voices to be.
Real quick though, I do that all the time. Whenever I'm watching a show, whatever, and I fall asleep in the next morning and I try to find the exact moment where I left off. Like, let's say it's going along, starts here, ends here, and I was like right here. I'll click like right before or right after, and because I don't recognize it, I'll spend a bunch of time jumping around and be like, God damn it, I was right here, like we just saw.
Being completely unheard. My wife is a physics and math teacher. If she has the answer to a question in a staff meeting, she's going to have to be louder than the men in the room, because that is the way society has conditioned people to operate, especially.
I don't know how many boardrooms you've been in, homie, but usually, not only do they bend over backwards to make sure women are heard, but it's a place about money. If a chick has a better idea to make us all money, the idea that a whole crew of men that want also to make money are going to just not listen to her. I'm not saying that women are automatically taken as seriously in any business setting. That's not what I'm saying. But you're acting like this is a widespread problem of sexism when it's more a problem of how women interact. That's it. Different Shade of Purple says women are not educated on a lot of things, still spit it out. What's the difference when men does it? Well, difference is we're men, and if you have a penis, you are automatically a bad person.
Hold on, especially in male-dominated spaces.
Yeah.
That's what mansplaining is. I have one more question. Is it about?
Wow, that whole time he was giving us his alternative definition of mansplaining. Did that help anybody?
The word?
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Is
like
it
we
about
keep
the
on getting
word?
hung up on
Yes.
like
Oh, that's what it was. The word. Is it about the word? That's the question. That I was going to say something about before. Yes, it is about the word. Because when you get a catchy word for something that doesn't really exist and puts men in a bad position, then okay, maybe there are situations where a man will be schmarmy and talk down to a woman and do this, that, whatever, and maybe that happens all the goddamn time. But when you come out with this mansplaining, now you give fuel to every woman ever to use that to gaslight you when you're not mansplaining. And most of us are not doing that type of thing that they're actually mad about. They're just not agreeing with the things that we're saying, and they're calling it mansplaining. They don't agree with the way that we act, so they're calling it toxic masculinity. Even though there's dudes out there who pieces of shit, beat women, all that kind of thing. This is the semantic obfuscation. This is how they do it. They create words that actually do mean something bad, but it's kind of vaguely defined. So it can very easily be attached to lower and lower and lower and lower level offenses. Judge says women have made billions of dollars. Feminists just get upset that the women who are making the money are are Kardashians and not the NBA players. Bill Burr did a bit on this, and he's basically right. Yeah, he's like, where are you, all the feminists? Go to the WNBA games. Go to the women's soccer games. Instead of complaining that they should be paid more, pay them. You want somebody else to do it. It comes from the mentality, the disconnect. Not understanding that, oh, if you want them to get more money, you have to give them more money. There's the disconnect that, oh, no, daddy government's there. Daddy government, you gave me all this money for no reason. Why don't you give it to them for no reason? This is you want to talk about brainwashing. You want to talk about you don't sell any fucking tickets. Ladies. Fuck you, Nightbot. Fuck you, Nightbot. Different Shade of Purple says society has conditioned us to accept that women don't spend as much time in jail for committing the same crime, to accept false RPA and SA, the high divorce rates they initiate. Yeah, I mean, there's not the level of accountability that exists for men is unparalleled when it comes to women. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. Hey, we got I am in the building. Welcome. Said women in porn make at least 3 times as much as men. Shall we fight for equal rights in the porn business? I guess so. To be true feminists.
Words
No,
like
it
y'all
is.
really don't. Y'all have a lot of
And
problems with a lot of
patriarchy,
these
like,
languages.
when you say man,
Bro, he said the dude in the orange shirt has said patriarchy like 17 times, and I am. He said patriarchy like 17 times and hasn't said anything about how the patriarchy actually affects anything.
mansplaining,
Yeah.
you have to understand that subconsciously we're
Yeah.
already creating a divide when really
Yeah.
a woman can mansplain by definition the way you guys are explaining it, and
Yeah.
that's just as wrong as if a man does
Yeah.
it. So why is it called
And they will agree with that. Well, of course, it's all about equality. But you call it feminism. You call it mansplaining. And maybe you 4 doofuses don't understand what's going on. But the people who came up with these terms absolutely know that you're going to sit on this panel and use these terms as if it's the end all be all. Just said, shouldn't it be I am that am? What? That doesn't make sense. Fucking Aussies. These fucking Aussies, man. Mikey says, let's get real. Part of why the WNBA doesn't do well is because half their players are lesbian, and so it's less attracted to filling to men filling the seats. I don't know if the sexual attraction of players really has much to do with any sport. I think it's just about if the sport is entertaining, people will buy tickets to go see it. If the sport is not entertaining, people will not go and buy tickets. There's a lot of lesbians in the UFC, and people love women's MMA. But that's because it's good. Is it as good as the men's? I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But the they do have penises. Yep. Mike says, a guy in the orange shirt, I think he's on his period. I am that I am. So it also translates to I will be what I will be. The WNBA has a crap product. Yeah, exactly. That's why. That's it. There's no deeper product. There's no deeper reason. It's a bad product.
Called mansplaining. Why isn't it just disrespectful?
So when your life is not at stake, when you're not being attacked, I think you can focus on language. When you're not at risk of being...
Guys, if you could do me a huge favor, if you're not already done so, please hit that like button. That's the biggest thing that you can do to help this party grow. And we want to get this popping. So please, bam, done. Let's do it. Back into the show.
You live in U.S., dude. That doesn't
Men are
happen.
attacked every single day. Women are attacked more.
But I think
Are they though? Women are attacked more than men? Are they? Of course not. Of course they're not. What? You think that women are attacked more often than men in America? I know. One of our dudes here, one of our anti-feminists has to address that. There is no way that can go underdressed.
from a societal standpoint, you guys talk a lot about social conditioning and how women feel uncomfortable. But don't you think this narrative that you're saying right now is contributing to that? Telling women that they should be scared when they're in an environment full of men, telling women that, you know, they are oppressed, they are this, they're that, by telling women they're less than
Let
men.
me respond to that. They're not telling them that. They're validating the fact that that's the reality.
Is it though? I am very sad that not one of these anti-feminist gentlemen corrected a dude who said that women get attacked more than men in America. That is crazy. Hey, we got Trey Williams in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome, brother. Good to see you as always. So the WNBA just isn't athletic enough to compete. The things that makes the NBA popular, women can't do. Sorry, it is what it is. I would love, just to appease y'all, I would love if women could do all the things that men could do so that I just didn't have to hear your bitching about it. But that's not the world we live in. I'm sorry. Like I says, think of it like this. You'll notice that there are loads of women who will fill the seats of NBA games because of the attraction to men on the game. Right, but what is the percentage of women who buy NBA tickets? Particularly for this reason. I don't know how you would measure that. But first, we need to determine what is the female viewership of the NBA in general. Then you have to take out all the women who just actually like the sport. I think you are way overestimating how many women are spending money on the NBA. Maybe they'll flip on the highlights or whatever. I think you're way overestimating the number of women who are giving money to the NBA than reality. In fact, you've got your Brittany Renners out here who are taking money and more from NBA players.
Right.
Women should be encouraged to be financially independent of men.
So again, the people who agree are going to step forward. Of course, all the feminists and only one. So I would actually step forward here as well. I think we live in a a society that is unfortunately past the point of where it makes sense for a single woman to just rely on a man. I do think that it does make sense for any woman to be like, I don't know what the fuck is good. I want to make sure all my shit is on point. I see no issues with that. Hey, we got Kelly Green in the building. What is good? What is good? Welcome, brother. Good to see you as well as always. Welcome back to the party. We are talking about male feminists. Yeah, so I do think that the prompt being women should be encouraged to be financially independent of men. I do agree, but I'm interested to hear what they have to say.
I think this one's a no-brainer, right? I believe that men and women are equal. They're just not the same. And I think with that equality comes equal responsibility to be able to provide for yourself. And when I think about what could provide oppression, if that were to exist, would be this idea that they were tethered to men to live their lives. I think if you remove that tethering, then obviously women are free to do whatever they please and exit very bad situations. You know, one of the most unfortunate stories that you hear so often is that so many women are forced to live in very dangerous circumstances because they don't know who's going to provide for their child if they leave. They don't know who's going to provide for them if they leave. And so I think financial independence for anyone is always just a good idea.
Yeah, I want to speak about this through a different lens. I think it should be like women should be empowered to be financially independent. Encouraged versus empowered takes a different like sense of support. Speaking to how
Mikey, but I'm not, she's one person. She's one person. Did I say that there's no women who give money to the NBA because they're attracted to those men? I don't think I said that. In fact, I know I didn't say that. I said, I think you are overestimating the number of women who are giving money to the NBA simply because they are attracted to players.
how men feel the need to provide. Sometimes when a woman makes more
He said BBL
than a man, men can feel like they're less of a man because the woman is taking more of like the boss and like provision kind of like role in the household. So I think that it's important to be able to equip women with being able to feel like they are empowered. And that is a feminist thing because it is breaking the gender norms of like what is masculine and what is feminine role.
Yeah, I also think it is important though in this conversation to recognize the women that don't want to be financially independent in a marriage. There's a lot of women in our country that enjoy being mothers.
That's a good point too, is that, while all the things that I said about women, needing to make sure that they're set in whatever way that is, that can mean making your own money, or that can mean putting yourself in a position where you are dependent on a man. And I don't think that, teach their own, but I do think that the encouragement to be financially independent of a man is not necessarily saying that you don't need or want a man. It's just saying that you don't need or want a man specifically for money. And I think that's a good overall thing, that women aren't just looking to men as an ATM, which they already do. But sure don't need to make that any worse. Definitely agree with that, Mike. Definitely agree with that.
And I think being a mother is one
incredibly
of
valuable.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're, stuck in their situation, because they're doing something very valuable by sacrificing that freedom in order to raise our next
It's
generation.
just giving a choice, right?
And their love is their labor,
Exactly,
right?
right,
And their love
exactly.
is their labor.
Dude back here is like, yo, let me in on this conversation. I'm actually very interested to hear why he is going to say that women should not be encouraged to be financially independent. Because again, you can still live a traditional lifestyle while being financially independent because of you, and just choose to live that way. So let's see.
Okay, I have a few different thoughts. One of them would be the importance of the family. I think women should go out and be financially smart and know how to make money and be able to make money for themselves. But being independent of men leaves this notion of that you can never trust a man, or that men are unsafe. And the problem that this
But as we just determined, men are unsafe. Not obviously not all men. Obviously not most men. But there's a lot of fucking people out there. And in the same way we talk about all of this stuff in protecting ourselves against women, we're not saying that all women are bad. We're saying the women that are bad are out there. And so we have to prepare for that. I don't think there's anything wrong with women telling women the inverse thing about men. There are things, our new friend, so I'm forgetting your name, our new friend, A Different Shade of Purple, was saying he used to be one of those guys. He used to be one of those guys that women need to look out for. And kudos to him for changing his ways, but guys like that are out there. Guys like that exist. So to say that it's, you shouldn't need to worry about that is kind of out of touch. And this is where this religious stuff doesn't work. Like he says, you don't hear most women get into talks about NBA players' stats and the sport, so not overestimating. But are those women paying? What are those women buying? Yeah, you're not under the math. You're not mathing. You're getting to an equation, the end of the equation without doing the math. How do you know if it's overestimating or underestimating if you don't know how much money is being spent? A certain amount of money is spent from women that goes to the NBA. Some of those women are legitimate NBA fans. Some of those women are not legitimate NBA fans and only care about the looks of the players. Even the women who care about the sport are not incapable of having conversations about the looks of the players. And in fact, if you are a woman who likes a sport, then you are way more likely to be talking about what the players look like with other women, because most other women don't like sports and therefore don't give money to the organization. So you can't say you're not overestimating something if you don't know what the estimate is. You cannot say that the amount of money that is given to the NBA by women is high, low, or unless you know what that number is. I'm sorry that we're stopping the show for this, guys, but this is not how logic works. Well, women talk about NBA players, but they don't talk about stats. Therefore, the dollar amount is X. That's not how. If you're thinking this way, guys, then you need to come back. You need to go back, watch a bunch more of my shit, and make sure you come back. Because if you are thinking this way, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. Those women are buying seats, the merch, and things like that. That's what I'm asking about. What is the number? What is the number? How do you know the women who are buying seats, merch, and things like that are buying because they only are attracted to the players versus because they are actually fans of the sport? That is what I'm asking you. And you're just claiming that you know. That's not how it works. So what you need to do to stand on this claim is to go find the entire revenue of the NBA. Then you need to break that down as to how much men put into that number and how much women put into that number. Then you need to determine of the amount that women put in. Okay, so of the 43% of money that comes from women that goes into the NBA, how much of that is women who are not fans of the sport? You have no fucking idea, bro. You have no idea. You have no way of knowing this. Yet you are making a claim. That's the reason I'm stopping the show for this, guys. And Mike, I love you. I'm not, I'm not, it's not that personal. But this is wrong. This is not how you think properly. You don't just get to think a thing and then try to make it fit with the facts. You have to start with the facts and then follow that to the conclusion. So even the fact that it's less than half, which, is pretty decently high. But then you also have to account, okay, how many of these women are buying jerseys for their boyfriends, buying tickets for their boyfriends? They don't give a shit about the sport or what the guys look like. They just want to care. They just want to make their boyfriend happy. So until you understand the breakdown of this 43%, you cannot say that you are overestimating, underestimating, or anything else about the breakdown of this 43% of whether they are fans, whether they are just interested in what people look like, or anything else. You don't know. Mike says, you're passed out in a burning building. Who do you want to take you down the stairs? A man or a woman fireman? I mean, I'm barely over 100 pounds, so it don't really matter for me. I think if you're a firefighter, if you could pass the test, then you could probably carry me. But for a normal person, I don't know what the testing is like for the fire department. We know that the testing for the police department is ass, and we know that men and women, they're just not trained well. But if the training and the thresholds for what you need to do in order to get into the fire department is equally as high for women, y'all big boys can worry about that one. I'm gonna let Kelly, not you, Kelly. What's another? I'm gonna let Rebecca throw me over her shoulder, and I'm good. All right, let's see where we were with this. Let's say where we were.
How to make money and be able to make money.
Yeah. So a homeboy says women should not be encouraged to be financially independent.
Go out and be financially smart and know how to make money and be able to make money for themselves. But being independent of men leaves this notion of that you can never trust a man or that men are unsafe. And the problem that this brings is in the family. I think.
Can I ask you why?
Hold on, I'm just going to finish my thought. I'll explain. With the nuclear family, you have, and this is.
I promise I will hate you forever if you say nuclear. The word is nuclear. There's no Y in the word nuclear. Sorry, just a pet peeve. Hey, what is good? We got Devon and Rod in the building. What is good? What is good? Yes, somehow I managed this amazing frame, barely over 100 pounds at 6'7". If you want to know, you can buy my course. No, that would be awesome, though, right?
Just for both men.
Welcome, brother. Glad to see you. Always glad to see you.
They're the most happiest.
So again, I just want to make sure we're getting the full context on our boy here, saying why women shouldn't be financially independent of men.
The family. I think.
Can I ask you why?
Hold on, I'm just going to finish my thought. I'll explain. With the nuclear family, you have, and this is for both men and women, they're the most happiest when they are in that kind of dynamic. And to your point about marriages where women makes more than the man, that's one of the biggest indicators of divorce. And I think there is a societal and honestly God-given responsibility for men to provide. So when men are told that women are going to be independent of you, you're stripping away a lot of their purpose and responsibility to be caretakers of women and to provide for women. I would also say.
So let's get back to this. So Mike says it's 8% of women whom are fans and 63% who are not fans. Okay, so of the 63 who are not fans, are they buying stuff for their boyfriends or for their family members or for themselves because they want to look at the athletes? That is the question we are asking. I understand the overwhelming majority of money that goes to the NBA from females is probably not going to be from diehard fans. That was not the question. You made the claim that they are giving money because they are attracted to the players. I'm not saying they're not attracted to players, but are they attracted enough to spend money they otherwise would not have spent? We're not talking about, I'm buying these tickets and this jersey because I want my boyfriend to be happy. And, LeBron looks pretty, or whoever. So you're going down the right road. So we need to break down the 63% of women whom are not fans, but give money to the NBA. Why do they give? I know it's part of the 63%, but we have to figure out how much of the 63%, because 1% of 63% is very different than 90% of 63%. So you're doing good. You're doing good. And I'm just taking you at your word on the stats. But so now we need to break down of the 63% of women who give money to the NBA who are not fans. I don't know how you know this. Again, I'm just assuming that you've found something legitimate. But assuming that these stats are legitimate, So what was it? 40 something percent of the money coming from women. And then 60% of that money being from women who are not fans. And your conclusion is that they're giving the NBA money because they like to look at the players. And I'm saying I don't think that's a good conclusion. I don't think that makes sense. Because how much do you have to pay to watch an NBA game? Do you get a better look if you're trying to look at somebody who you're attracted to? Is it better to be in stadium seating while they're way down there? Or is it better to watch it on TV where the camera is right up in their face? So if I'm trying to watch something because I'm attracted to somebody, then I want to get the best view of that. So I'm actually not going to buy tickets. Which then goes to my point that these women are buying tickets, jerseys, etc. for their boyfriends, not because they are simply attracted to basketball players.
Say that the biggest group of people that are on antidepressants, and it's 1 in 4, are women that are 40, have a career, and have no family and no kids.
Unhappiest
The real meaning of life is
demographic.
community, family, and relationships.
Can I
He's talking about
respond to
statistic of
one
women.
specific thing you said,
He's
which
talking
is
about life, though.
the demographic of women over 40 taking antidepressants, and you're using that as proof that they're the most depressed group.
No, not proof. We're just pointing out a correlation. Remember, correlation is not causation. But it's just a little odd, and we're talking about in the context of this conversation, that the unhappiest demographic of human being in America is single over 40 single women.
Group.
Yes.
Men just kill themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
like
but
all
those are
the men that have
So your logic here is that women are unhappy and men are more unhappy enough to self-delete. Therefore, women have it worse. What? I would replay it if he wasn't using those words. But the stat here says in 2020, men died by self-deletion 3.88% more than women. White males accounted for 69.68% of these in 2020. So yeah, 70% of the self-deletions in America are white men. Therefore, women have it so hard. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Trace says, I've been to a lot of WNBA games with my niece. Honestly, it's just a lot of men with their little girls that enjoy basketball or are beginning to play. So, and that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. I mean, but where are the feminists? Where are the women who want these players to get paid more? They're not even willing to give their own money. When we have 63% of all the women who give money to the NBA aren't even fans. They're not even fans. But they'll give money to the NBA. According to Mikey, it's because they think they're hot. According to me, it makes a lot more sense that there's affiliations with their boyfriends and other men. But that's neither here nor there. But even just supporting their own, they won't do it. And then they want us to pay them. Make it make sense. Mikey says, bro, what do you mean there is no why? There is no, okay, well, that's not the end of the sentence. Let's read the sentence. Bro, there is no why they are going to get that number, but the 63% is a high enough number to show mostly who spends money that are the fans net and so let's try this again. Bro, there is no why. That's wrong. There is a why for everything. They're going to get that number, but the 63% is a high enough number to show mostly who spends money that are not fans. But and it includes buying for their men. Exactly. So my point is, how do you know what was the original claim? Let's go all the way back. I wish I'd started this. The original comment was something along the line of the fact that women are spending money, or rather, people are not spending money on the WNBA because of a lack of attraction. That they're not attracted to the lesbians who play in the was it this? WNBA players don't do drugs halfway. Yeah. So this is the original comment. This is your claim that the NBA doesn't do, the WNBA does not do well because half of their players are lesbian and so it's less attracted to men. This was your original comment. But Trey just told us, having been to WNBA games, it's mostly men with their little girls. So it doesn't sound like anybody is going to WNBA games for attraction. But bring it back to the NBA. So I was talking about Brittany Renner, who extracted wealth from an NBA player, not gave money to the NBA. She extracted lots of wealth, a human, from the NBA. And you're telling me that bringing her up proves the point because she goes to the games of who she would like to be with. And I said, okay, fine. So she's one person. It sounds like you're saying that the women who watch the NBA are just like all the women who, or the majority, or 63% of the women who watch the NBA or give money to the NBA are like Brittany Renner. The math ain't mathin', homie. The math ain't mathin'. And your reasoning was then that, well, you don't hear them talking about stats. Therefore, it must be because they are paying the NBA that somehow gets them a better experience of viewing the NBA players that they are attracted to. Do you see how this is unraveling? Why would they why would they buy a jersey or a ticket or a hat if they are attracted to a player? They would want to look at the player. And sure, there are going to be some people who will buy the jersey and the hat and the ticket just because of those things. My point to you is that of the 43% of women who give money and the 63% of them who are not fans, that 63% may have some people who are just like, yeah, I got money, I want to go see hot NBA players. But I guarantee you, it is less than 15%. If you can come up with a reason, so you're to go back to this this comment, there is no why. So you're saying 63% of all the money, or excuse me, 43% of all the money that the NBA gets is just for no reason. There's no why. Mike says, usually a woman goes with her man to an NBA game. You don't see a bunch of women going by themselves. Not to say it never happens. You have your Brittany Renners. But most of the time, you don't have that. That was the only point. And I don't know how we got so far down the rabbit hole, but I feel like it's important that even if it's a little bit of a distraction, that guys, you can't be thinking this way. You can't be thinking this way. You can't be thinking that this is logical thinking. You can't be thinking that this is the way that you are going to get through life. You will come up with bad solutions. You will come up with wrong decisions. You will come up with incomplete and inaccurate information. And you will use that and think that you got it all figured out. Do better. And I know you can. Mikey, if I didn't think that you could see what I'm getting at here, then I wouldn't come down on you. I'd just be like, oh, he's some dummy. Yeah, sure, whatever you say. But I don't like talking down to you guys, especially those of you that are older than me and wiser and have a lot more life experience. But when it comes to this logic stuff, guys, you gotta trust me. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. You gotta trust me. I mean, you don't got to, but it ain't gonna work out for you if you don't. Indie Film says the NBA gets a bunch of money because of the patriarchy. How can you guarantee 15% without facts? Exactly. So, exactly. Do you see how you can point out that I can't guarantee without facts? then how can you guarantee anything? When I say guarantee, it's like, I betcha. I betcha. Is that a better word for you? I can't guarantee, but I would bet that it's lower than 15% of women who are spending money on the NBA because it somehow gives them a better experience of viewing NBA players. It would be less than 15% of that 63%. That is what my conjecture. So I don't have the facts. But you see how you pointed this out? You're not dumb. You get it. So how the fuck did you know that it's higher or lower than 15% without facts? We both don't have the facts. I just have more logic. I appreciate that, Mikey. And shout out to Mikey for being in the hot seat. I know sometimes I go at you guys, but you know, this is why I shout this guy out every time he is here. He is legit, and some people just can't take it. But Mikey is a real one. So please, again, do go check out the Mikey Story YouTube channel, and we do appreciate you, getting into it. So at least I showed the percentage to back up what I said. Right. So if we're going back and we're changing the word guarantee to I bet. I bet it's 15%. So I don't need to have facts to make a bet, to make conjecture, right? So you're correct. But in the same way that you are able to point out that I don't have facts, so I can't be giving numbers, why is it that you don't have facts, but you can be giving numbers? You don't have facts about the breakdown of that 63%. So until you do, you didn't show percentages. You showed the percentages to get you to the point that 63% of all the money that comes from females that goes to the NBA is from non-fans. Okay, great. That does not align with your conclusion that this is because women are not attractive, or the women are not attractive, and therefore men are not filling seats. Those two things are just not connected. Hey, we got Lou Optics in the building. Welcome. Says the WNBA doesn't give the customer what they want. Sorry if I'm late to the convo. Never need to apologize. Glad you are here. Welcome. Oh, and we got Jess talk about it in the building. What is going on, girl? Glad to see you. We somehow got into this conversation about the WNBA and why they are doing this or that. But the main conversation is about male feminists versus non-male feminists. So even though they're going to say it, for you guys, we'll back it up, make sure we understand.
Can I
You're talking about
respond
such a
to one
woman.
specific thing you said? Which is,
So basically, dude was talking about how the prompt is women should be encouraged to be financially independent of men. Most all of us agreed with that prompt. One dude here disagreed with the prompt, and he was talking about how the nuclear family and all that stuff. And so one of our male feminists wants to address that.
the demographic of women over 40 taking antidepressants, and you're using that as proof that they're the most depressed group. Men just kill
themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
like
but
all
those are
the men that have killed themselves, if they didn't do that and we're still here, men would predominantly be more depressed than women.
Right. Men would be more depressed than women. Women get sad, men get dead. Therefore, women have it worse. What? Make that one make sense. Mike said, I've been to one WNBA game. It was a free ticket and it was boring. Doesn't surprise me. Like he says, Trey just proved my point by saying most of the men go to the games with their daughters or little girls. Then they go by themselves because they love the game and the women. We weren't talking about that. We were talking about women spending money on the NBA because they are attracted to the players. You brought up the fact that the men are not attracted to the WNBA players. And I was saying that doesn't make sense because you would see that on the other side. you got to run it back, bro. You're getting way off here, and I'm telling you, you're not making sense.
There's no basis. for
There's-
that. There's
but
no-
also
The
the
men
correlation
statistically
between-
kill themselves more.
But we're talking about two completely different points.
Well,
Right.
I think he's
Mental
just
health-
saying that statistic is a little bit
I'm saying
difficult to
that it's
process
out of
because
context
yeah,
because the men that
there's other factors.
yeah,
like
there's
you guys.
other factors.
There's
going
always
into it,
going to
and
be
it's-
other factors, but that's
Yeah,
a
we're just
clear
pointing it out.
indicator that women at some point, whether they started wanting a career, will eventually want to fall into a role of being a mom, having children, because that is what women derive the most happiness from.
You got a lot of studies and stats over here, which
Yeah, so Lou's saying when the Shock, I'm assuming that was their WNBA team, was in Detroit, it was lit and always sold out. They had a great team, great coach, and we didn't care about their personal life. So what you're telling me is that the Detroit Shock provided you with something that you are willing to part your money with because you enjoyed the product. Makes sense. Seems like the personal lives, or to be more specific, as we were talking about with Mikey's comment, whether they fuck girls or not, doesn't really seem to have come into the equation. Am I correct? Yeah, I'm gonna drop the link, guys. I don't think we're gonna get through this whole thing, but we'll get through maybe one or two more prompts, and then I'm gonna drop the link. We don't usually do it on StreamYard, but we got to cam up. There's no way around that.
which is cool. But like when we're talking about financial literacy and financial freedom, there are a lot of women that have the ability that decide to step back, all those types of things. None of that has to be taken away or omitted in order for them to be empowered. People should be able to do in their households what they want to do.
Right.
I don't think anybody's
Right.
trying to take that option away from women. I think y'all think people are, but I don't think that's really
Yes.
happening.
But
We
they
agree.
are.
So there's no women's spaces that are being invaded by people who are not welcome. That's Quentin's claim here. Okay, maybe we think that's what we think, but according to Quentin, we are wrong, and that is not the case.
But they are. We see that in society today. People demonizing women for choosing to stay at home. Female empowerment also means empowering women, again, to make the choice that fits them, their choices, and what they want to do. It is just as
Exactly.
powerful, just as influential, just as important as a choice to make to raise your kids at home, if that is what you want to do, and also be the CEO of Walmart if that's what you choose to do. We can empower women to be girl bosses, whatever you
Or
want to
just
say.
bosses.
Would you
But-
empower a male friend if he told you that he was going to quit his job to be a full-time stay-at-home father?
Yes. Jess says we should support men and women in whatever they want to do as long as they aren't hurting anyone else. Everyone should stop trying to control everyone else. That's they business. Let them know, Jess. Let them know. It's it's so ironic that the it's so ironic that the feminists are the ones here talking about how we should have choice, and that they're the ones that go after anybody who chooses to think any differently than them. You hate staying home? Shit, you can have my job. I'll stay home. I don't want to leave ever.
Absolutely.
What?
So
Cash in, buddy.
that's
Ooh, that didn't go the way he thought it was gonna go. Let's check that out one more game.
Whatever he
Or
wants
just
to say.
bosses.
Would you
But-
empower a male friend if he told you that he was going to quit his job to be a full-time stay-at-home father?
If he wants
Absolutely.
to. What?
So
Cash in, buddy.
that's good. I just want to make sure because like
I just want to make sure that wasn't a gotcha at all. No. But you can see how he tried to posture it as a gotcha without realizing that obviously the guys are going to say yes. Even if they don't even mean it. Obviously, they're not going to be like, no, well, that's gay. They're not going to say that. But you haven't thought about this far enough to be able to engage on that level. And I want you guys out there to be able to do that. That when somebody comes at you with something that they think is, oh, I got you. It's like, no, I've thought about this many times before, and actually that doesn't make sense. And here's what does make sense. That's what you want. Yeah, if his wife wants to, whatever works. As long as you are happy, and I mean, just exactly what Jess said. As long as you're happy, you're doing your thing. Some men absolutely are better with kids. Whatever works for you. That doesn't mean that we necessarily want to. There's a thin line between saying do what works for you and hey, let's just try and see if this works. Let's just try and see if that works. Let's just try and see if that works. No, There are things that are understood about child rearing. Things like having two parents is better than one. Having those parents be different sexes is better than them being the same sexes. Same sex. You know what I mean? Not because there's anything wrong with the gays, but because men and women are different. And so having a man for the men stuff and a woman for the woman stuff is better. That's not something up for debate.
You're only defending women who get demonized for doing this, and you're not like
Which is a
advocating
minority.
for men
Mhm.
to want to step up and do that too. You're only
Because most men don't.
What are you talking about? They just said, you just asked directly, would you support and empower this man? And they said yes. And now he's saying the complete opposite. That you're not talking about them. What do you mean? We just went over that. Lou says, being a stay-at-home dad isn't bad. It's just different. Fathers usually stay busy and probably have some sort of a hustle. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why it has to be any stereotypical thing that you think. It is what it is. Some people have different lives than you, and it doesn't mean that you can't be a masculine man. It doesn't mean that you can't be a high value man. Well, I don't know about high value, but you know, it doesn't mean that you can't be the man of the household just because you're the one staying home. That has a lot more to do, not with what you physically do, but how you interact. And that's what I think these male feminists don't understand. They think it's so black and white. And it's not. It's more nuanced than that. Just as I had a stay-at-home dad cousin. He was horrible, though, because he used to cheat on her when she was at work. Well, of course, cheating is never good. But, you know, again, it's whatever. Clearly, this wasn't working for him. But, you know, whatever works is...
want to.
Why not? Why don't you want
Because
men?
they don't want
Because
to.
they just don't
And
want
you-
to.
I don't
It's
want
a
to.
choice.
I just
You
wanna
never
make sure I
choose
follow
that.
your
Are
logic.
you pro choices or pro less choices?
This
I'm
is a
pro-
trap.
I'm
This is a
pro-
trap.
No, it's a question. Are you pro more choices or less choices? Stop trying to win an argument and just have a conversation. A direct question was asked. Are you in favor of more choices or less choices? Let's say, I mean, it's pathetic when people can't answer basic questions.
Why not? Why don't you want
Because
men?
they don't want
Because
to.
they just don't
And
want
you-
to.
I don't
It's
want
a
to.
choice.
I just
You
wanna
never
make sure I
choose
follow
that.
your
Are
logic.
you pro choices or pro less choices?
This
I'm
is a
pro-
trap.
I'm
This is a
pro-
trap.
What do you mean by that?
Are you pro choices? Are you
He's
pro less
trapping you.
choices?
When I asked him why he doesn't encourage men, he said because they don't want to do that. So then
Notice we haven't gotten an answer to more or less choices.
why is it a problem
Because
if
it's
women
about
don't want to be
choice.
stay at
It's
home?
about-
I'm not
It's
encouraging women to
women's
stay at
choice
home.
too.
I'm not encouraging
But
women
we
to stay
ne-
at
you never
home.
said
I'm
that.
saying that they have a choice, and I'm not for taking choices away from women. You may be. I don't know.
All right, reset.
Boom. Hold on one sec. Oh.
Period.
So we'll get to that. Yeah, Jess said pro only choices where both parties agree. Well, I mean, in general, we don't want to limit choices on how people can live. I think that is a blanket statement that is not not that drastic. I think more choices generally is better. There are circumstances when it comes to the choice to murder a baby, the choice to sterilize your children. Then, okay, we can get into the minutia of that. But in general, choices are better than less choices, especially when we're talking about choices from the government. Because everything is better if you can choose as opposed to the government choosing.
Period pain is exaggerated.
Period pain is exaggerated. Not one man. They're like, I ain't touching that. I ain't.
Okay, I'm glad no one stepped forward for that.
I'm gonna change my mind. I'm kidding.
All right, next
Yeah.
prompt.
Okay, so this will be the last one, and then I'm going to drop the link. So if you have something to say, please make sure you cam up. I'm going to drop the link, and you guys can come up. We're going to do one at a time, and we'll say your piece. If you got a channel or something, please feel free to shout it out. But keep it kosher. Keep it kosher. Otherwise, we're just not going to do this shit anymore.
Innocent men suffer because of feminism.
All four, you better walk forward.
So I think today in 2022, feminism has changed drastically, and I think it's really turned into demonizing masculinity in
Yep.
men while promoting masculinity in women. And with that,
Ooh, ooh! Did y'all hear that one? Did y'all hear that one? Let's run it back one more time.
demonizing has changed drastically, and I think it's really turned into demonizing masculinity
masculinity.
in men while promoting masculinity in women. And
masculinity
with that,
in women.
good men are being pushed to the wayside and pushing parts of themselves down and not embracing their own masculinity because society is telling them that it's wrong.
100%. I think like anything that is deemed masculine is seen as now toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it all over social media. You can't really say anything or do anything, especially even like against or even for yourself, without it being like some weaponized in some way or shape or form.
Yeah.
It's a shame that feminism has become less about actual equality and more about supremacy. It's not about equal rights between men and women. It's about women being superior to men. And women don't even like it anymore, right? I hear conversations with so many girls that are friends of mine. They're like, I hate what feminism has become.
Exactly. I hate what feminism has become because this idea of women's empowerment for so long was absolutely a very poignant and needed message. Then it kind of wasn't. And so then all the feminist activists were like, we got all this stuff. What do we do now? All right, let's just try to get more and more and more and more and more and more and more. At the expense of men? Yeah.
It makes me feel as if I'm a victim, and also too that men aren't supposed to be men anymore. It almost absolves us of the responsibilities that we have as males in society to be providers, to be protectors.
I cannot wait to hear what these male feminists have to say about what's being said right now. I cannot fathom that you have a legitimate argument to this.
Right.
And innocent men suffer because we're made out to be toxic because we're fulfilling our roles as men in this world. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I mean, I disagree a little bit with saying that men
Oh, I love this comment from Jess. Said, why do they hate it? You can choose if you want to be a feminist or not. Can you though? Can you though? Or does not being a feminist mean that you are against the things that are good and that makes you a bad person? That's what this semantic obfuscation is all about. Equality of the sexes. If that's what we were talking about when we said feminism, equality of the sexes under the law, then nobody who is a decent person would not be a feminist. But that's not what we're talking about. What did they just say? The women themselves are saying this ideology that's being pushed, whether you choose to identify it with or not, the idea that's being pushed is telling you and everybody around you that you are a victim, that you are terrible, that men shouldn't be men, that all of these things that are leading to men and women being unhappy. That's why they hate it. That's precisely why they hate it. And that's why you should hate it too if you're a normal person. If you are somebody who interacts with the other sex in a non-combative way, then you should hate feminism. If you're just out here to dunk on men or dunk on women, then feminism is where you want to be.
have to be providers, but I think, demonizing those men is part of the problem.
Yeah, I would disagree a little bit, but I think also too, though, what we probably would agree on is that in a society that makes women feel as if they need to be more like men, all you get is really bad versions of men. And when you have men who are increasingly more feminine, you get men who aren't being men at all anymore. And I think that that's a huge societal problem. And we see the ripple effects and the consequences of that every single day.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you are defining as feminist. I think most women do identify as feminists, and just the idea of the gynocentric social order and putting women above men and treating women in a different way when it is convenient for women absolutely is a real problem. But of course, as they say, privilege is invisible to those who experience it. So you wouldn't think it was a problem because you're experiencing the privilege from it. So, all right. So now we got the male feminists coming in. The last prompt, remember the prompt is innocent men suffer because of feminists. And all four of them disagree. So this is the last thing we're going to do. I'm going to drop the link and let's get into it.
When I started hearing y'all talk, y'all have a huge misconception of even what feminism is.
Well,
The goal
please
of
explain- yeah,
feminism
okay.
isn't to
What is it?
demasculate men. The goal of feminism is to fight for social, political, and economic equality.
Okay. What social, political, and economic equality is not achieved in the sexes? Oh, so then you won. You're done. You win. Okay, great. So feminism is over because you win. Oh, but it can't work like that, right?
For everyone to,
Is it
regardless of
equality
your
of
race,
opportunity or
gender.
equality of outcome? Because it used to be equality of opportunity, and that's when I would say I would be a feminist.
But
But
either
now it's
way-
become
Samesies.
equality of
But
But,
outcome.
hold on, but either way, what y'all are talking about is feelings.
Right.
What we're talking about is feelings. The projection is so real. This is their tactic. This is their tactic. All of these facts have been spit out. Facts on facts and facts and facts and facts and facts and facts. And dude doesn't have anything to say to, again, a good point. Well, I'm just going to hold up. You're just talking about feelings. Okay, what feelings are we talking about? Oh, you don't have an answer? Who wants to bet that he doesn't go into what feelings we're talking about and why that is not appropriate? This is sad. Jess, you were here for the stat, right? When they brought up about how many men end their lives. It's something about like 70% or 80. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember 69.63% of all people who end their lives are men. But yeah, I guess they're just bitching. They're just bitching. Like, just get over it. Ask me again why I hate feminism. Ask me again why I hate this ideology. Because so many of us are literally ending our lives. And Jess is out here laughing. And why shouldn't she? Why shouldn't she? Good for you that you don't have to understand what the fuck is really going on in the life of a man. Good for you. I don't understand the shit that you deal with as a woman. But you sure as shit don't understand what men go through. So for you to be laughing that men end themselves like that, that makes me really sad. This is still a man's world. Is it though? In what way? In what way is it a man's world? Who earns more money on average? Who's more educated on average? Oh, and now life's not fair. Oh, okay. I thought they aren't suffering. Are they just bitching, or is life not fair? Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. Who cares if men are blowing their fucking brains out? They're just bitching.
Y'all talking about, I don't like how women make me feel in society about crying, how women make
Well,
me...
the question
Hold on,
was
hold on,
about
hold on.
feelings.
Yeah.
No, hold
It was
on.
about are men affected?
Hold
That's
on.
feelings.
Yeah, but
So yes, that's the
but
conversation.
feminism itself
Exactly.
is not about feeling. It's about, like you said, outcome. It's about the wage gap. It's about having access to
Which
the-
doesn't
wage
exist,
gap?
by
What
the
wage
way,
gap?
right? But anyways,
Whoa, hold on, hold on, hold on,
let's-
hold on,
let-
hold on,
let me-
hold on.
I let you talk.
No, hold on.
Let me-
No, you
I let
didn't let me talk, though.
I
Hold
did
on.
let
You are though, Jess. You are though. Maybe you don't mean to be, and I know you don't mean to. That would be awful if you may. But that is effectively what is happening. Men are sitting here telling you, "Hey, I am suffering. I am hurting." You're like, "Nah, you're just bitching." That is what is happening, and that is why men do what they do to themselves. That is why. I know it seems cute and funny, because every fucking YouTube channel other than the lead and myself that you watch probably makes jokes about this all goddamn day. You watch The View, you watch the news, you watch Comedy Central, you watch MTV. They're all gonna make fun of men having feelings. where does that leave us? No, I don't think that's what she was laughing at. Well, actually, I don't know. Is that what you were talking about? Because if you're not laughing about that and you guys are having a conversation, well, let's get exactly, if we can get, Jess, if you could tell us exactly if you're talking about men in general or what you and Mikey were talking about, that might clear things up. So I think it should be fair for everyone. I don't support any unfairness. I mean, I agree with you, but is that fair? That's fair? I mean, I don't think that's fair, but you know, maybe I'm just a dumb old man.
No, you didn't let me
Okay,
talk though.
It's
Hold
about
on.
feelings, right? You don't want to talk about how men feel. Let's talk about how women feel. Let's talk about feminists.
Again, it's not
have
about
turned-
feelings, period.
how
That's my
feminists have
point.
turned
It's
on
not
other
about
women.
feelings.
It is about
Turned
feelings,
on
period.
other women.
Wait, can we have the prompt again?
Yeah, let's cut back to the prompt because it didn't have feelings. on it.
Exactly.
It's about
Innocent men suffer because of
Oh,
what are you talking
feminism.
about?
And so
Yeah.
can I pose this question?
But that
then?
is still about
on a
feelings, isn't it?
day on a day-by-day basis, do you think you're negatively affected by feminism?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
We also
They really believe that.
No.
Can you explain to me how on a day-by-day
Because it
basis
makes
life
them
affects
feel-
your life?
Oh, so now we have another instance of somebody who, well, it doesn't affect me, so therefore you must not be affected. Now, I give Jess a pass because as a woman, she lives in a gynocentric social order where they brainwash her to laugh at this shit. But homie, you're a dude. You are the one. You are the one who quoted these stats on self-deletion. You understand. But yet, no, we got to be feminists. We got to be feminists. Men are ending themselves. Women are just taking pills and rocking through it. Maybe they're stronger than us. Maybe women are stronger than men. Whatever is happening, men are ending themselves and women are not at the same level. I mean, you say, I don't think anybody should feel entitled. But you say this. Sounds like entitlement to me. Sounds like you feel you're entitled to judge other people's trauma based on your own perspective. Thank you, gentlemen. So let's finish up this last prompt here, and then I want to drop the link. I'm very excited to hear from you guys.
Because again, masculinity has this mythical eligibility of power.
Wait.
When
It's not mythical. Masculinity is, in fact, power. And if you can tap into it, you will change your life.
someone, feminist, what have you, challenges that, it feels like oppression to them. So
Yeah.
it feels
It's not-
like something is
it's
being
not
done.
challenging.
That's just-
Whoa. Whoa. This is heartbreaking. What do you think feeling entitled means? What do you think? Define what you think. Please hit the link when I drop it, because this is crazy. To say that they're ending themselves because they're entitled, that literally is the opposite of what that would mean. They don't feel they are entitled to life.
That's my perception.
Yeah.
Feel free to disagree, but that's what it looks like
I'm
to
not
me.
oppressed, so I
That's what I'm saying.
challenge that perception. But also, too, to go back to your point about feminism, that may have been true with first wave feminism, but with third wave feminism, that is no longer
And
the
I would
case
even argue
anymore.
because
No, I
first wave
disagree.
feminism and third
Guys,
wave
bring it back to the
feminism.
prompt. And then also just, I love the ping ponging, but just make sure we don't have 5 people talking on top of each other.
There's another side to this too. It's the patriarchy. And so that is what you are talking about. It is the pressure to be strong, the pressure.
So I just dropped the link, guys. You have to cam up. If you come up here and you're not if you come back here and I don't see you on camera, then you're not coming up. I am definitely keeping my finger right on the remove button. So if you're trying to troll me and get my channel taken down, don't waste your time. I'm on top of it. But yeah, if you would like to come and talk about this, let's do it.
Pressure to protect.
So just hit the link. Come on up. plug your channel. Let's talk about it.
But in what ways is our society a patriarchy today? I know you said values, so I would want to get clarification on what you define a patriarchy.
So we should define patriarchy as a group, because I personally am still having a hard time defining it today, because
So then stop using it. Stop using a word that you just admitted you don't know what it means. But you can determine that all of these societal problems are due to the thing that you don't know what it is. How does that make sense? It doesn't. So we're going to bring up our first guest here. Welcome to the Mikey story. What is good? What is good? Welcome, 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 brother. Glad to see you here. What did you think of all of this?
Woo-wee. Well, if you don't mind, let me address Jess for a moment, because this one hits home. Okay, just give me a few moments to address Jess. Okay, Jess, let me just say this to you. Okay, and I'm just going to be transparent, not just with Lutch, but the rest of everybody listening. Okay, there is no way you could even think that suffering in any kind is laughable, is funny, because let me put it to you in a different kind of way. Okay, my mom passed away December 11th, 2022. Okay, and the fact that she didn't suffer and she passed away peacefully, trust me when I tell you, is a much, much, much more comforting thought than knowing that she had to suffer if she was to pass away. All right. So another thing that I just wanted to say to you, is why would you want to laugh at anybody suffering in any kind of way? Like to me, I don't know if your meaning of suffering might seem like, it's something lighthearted. And if that's the case, then you need to look up the true meaning of suffering. But
just real quick, I do want to stick up for Jess a little bit. I don't think she was laughing at the fact that people are suffering. I think what she was saying is that what men are, and I think she's saying we're mixing this up. She's going to get her laptop, so she's going to come up here and explain. But just to keep us on track a little bit, I think she was just saying that what these men are considering suffering was like, really, that's suffering? Like, come on. And
no,
so we'll get.
I got to push back on that. I'm sorry. I got to push back on that, because exactly the point that you made about self-deletion is exactly the same reason why men have a reason to why they do that. To her, that could be the smallest thing. But to those guys who self-deleted and suffered, that's exactly why.
Right. And that's why
I'm sorry. None of it is funny. Sorry.
And I don't think and that's why I think we were getting a little bit away from the initial understanding. Because I don't know Jess that well, but I don't think that she would just blatantly laugh at people ending themselves. I refuse to believe that before I hear her come up here and say, "Yeah, screw you, man."
Yeah.
When if she says that, then I mean, fair enough. But I will say that real quick. I do want to give her credit and say that it makes sense that if you're just a regular I'm not talking about looks, just a regular average person, and you are a woman, that you wouldn't have the understanding of what it is like to be a man. I don't think there's anything wrong with not having that
No,
understanding.
right, right,
in the same way
right,
that I don't have an
right,
understanding of
right,
what it's like to be a woman. I don't have an
Absolutely.
understanding what it's like to be a white person. I don't have an understanding what it's
Absolutely.
like to be a black person. I don't understand what it's like to be a tall person. Like all of these things. So on that point, I think it's fair if she didn't really understand the connections.
Right.
That I think is fair. And hey, there's all blind spots that we have. But it's if it comes down to no, I understood what's going on, and I'm just fucking laughing at you dudes that you suck. Then we have a conversation to have.
But I will say this, right, in defense of what you're saying at the same time, I think using the word suffering is the wrong sentiment. Maybe if she said something like, you know, I think these guys, saying what they're saying, that to me, doesn't make any sense. Or man, please, you're just being a bitch ass. Or if she said something along those lines, then I get it.
Mhm.
But the fact that she said suffering and then she's like, oh, that's laughable. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. No. We got to draw the line. Sorry.
Yeah.
Got to
Yeah.
draw the line.
So we'll wait for Jessie. She's getting herself set up at the moment.
Okay.
I do want to hear
And
exactly
I'd love
what
to
she
hear her
has to say.
clarify what she meant.
Divine Rod says, men tamed this entire planet, enjoyed by many nutless wonders. Very true, very true. So before we get to get back to the Jess stuff, what did you think in general about these male feminists? Do you think that there is a real place to be a male feminist where you're not just brainwashed by the feminist?
Well, here's my position on this. If you're saying that I'm a man, I speak like a man, I think like a man, I look like a man, then why would you want to take on anything outside of that? Just saying.
Good point. All right. So we've got the Jess in the building. Jess, talk about it. Welcome. Welcome. I'm getting a little bit of echo from you. Good. Okay, there we go. So it seems like we're getting a little bit of confusion as to your main point. So we were talking about the men who are suffering, and your comment was that they're not suffering, they're just bitching. And it seems like we misinterpreted what you meant by that. So let's throw it to you and let's go all the way back. And what exactly did you mean by that? Floor is yours.
Well, I missed the beginning part, but the parts I heard, they were, I don't know, they were like, they aren't letting us do in other things, and I don't know, I guess I feel like when you delete yourself because you feel like it's unfair.
Hold on a second, Jess.
Hold on.
I think you need to,
Hold on.
hold on a second, Jess. I hear a delay.
Oh, that's on your end then. We're good over here.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's all not fair for all of us. Like we're all suffering, and I feel like it takes a lot of work to get up, say I'm gonna get help, I'm gonna keep pushing forward, even though life isn't fair. And I feel like the easy cop out is to delete yourself. So I mean, that's terrible. I don't think anyone should, but I also think men aren't really helping other men because they aren't letting other men know that it's okay to need help or to, help or take medication, or it's okay to not, whatever it is, be yourself, whoever that is. I think everyone should be allowed to be themselves. So.
I mean, I agree with you. The issue is that it seems like you are putting yourself in a position of determining what is suffering and what is not suffering. And so if somebody is telling you, and this is being connected to the larger point, that the reason men are self-deleting is because they don't have an outlet. And when they do express themselves, they get, oh, you're not suffering, you're just bitching, laughing emoji. Does that make sense? Why we all were like, whoa, what are you saying here?
I agree. I agree that men should be allowed to be themselves. I don't think they should be shamed. I feel like it's a lot of.
But we're
I
not.
think on both sides. I think just like I feel like masculine women, if they want to be bosses, like let them be bosses. Like stop crying that they're ruining things for you just because you don't feel like you can be manly enough because she wants to be a girl boss. Just like I feel like there are feminine men who are shamed. I feel like they should be allowed to be themselves as well. You know, and we shouldn't sit around and cry like I feel like it's not fair. I feel like life's not fair for a lot of people. I feel like unless you're rich or you have pretty privilege, it's probably not fair. So I think that's everyone. So
Mikey, any thoughts? I think that the echo might be coming from your end. Are you playing out speakers? Or you got headphones going on?
From who's end?
Hey, we got Darshawn McAway in the building. Another amazing YouTuber. Thank you for stopping by, brother. Glad you are here. But yeah, so now that you've heard out what Jess is saying, does that change your position on what you thought she was saying, or was she saying what you thought she was saying? Where are you after hearing her explain that a little bit more clearly?
Well, it goes back to me saying that I think maybe if had she changed the sentiment a little bit better, we wouldn't have the pushback. But I think because of the way she worded it, it was like, and because she's explaining it, now we have a better idea. And it's like, okay, well, had you said it this way, then there wouldn't be any pushback.
I agree with that. So Jess, let me ask you a question. Does this, because earlier in the stream, we were, one of the questions was about, is mansplaining over criticized or overused? In the way that I see this situation of you giving your opinion and us kind of misinterpreting it and you needed to explain it further, doesn't it feel kind of unfair that you were jumped on for something that you didn't mean?
I thought maybe I wasn't relaying it a good job relaying because I did.
Sure.
I did have some laughing emojis, but you might not have known what I was laughing at. So I think that was on my part.
But the point that I'm getting at is that we want to get the full understanding. We're not looking to just take the surface level, the worst interpretation. We want to have you up here. We want to understand what it is that you think and what you have to say. But again, to the point, a lot of times men don't get that grace. You'll say something and boom, you're labeled this, that, or whatever. And again, I'm not saying anything about what women do or do not have to deal with. I am not qualified to talk about those issues. And so there's a lot of stuff out there that I'm not personally covering right now. But in that context, it does kind of throw a mirror on the whole mansplaining thing, don't you think?
I don't know what. I think I missed the mansplaining part. So
maybe you don't have a huge problem with mansplaining. But what about
mansplaining? Was just when men try to break things down for you because they think you can't understand it.
I mean, I get, basically, it's just when a man is explaining things and then it often turns into mansplaining because the person who's getting explained to didn't know that before, and then they feel dumb. And so instead of just being like, oh, wow, now I know something more, then they get offended and all that stuff. So, it's
different because I thought mansplaining was when men try to talk to you like you're an idiot, like you wouldn't know, but you do actually know because you're not an idiot. So, like
so and that's so you hear me all the time talking about semantic obfuscation. That this confusion that we're having right now, this is purposeful. This is purposeful. They want the confusion so that when somebody says mansplain, like, wait, are we talking about somebody who just was helping out with information, or what you're talking about, where somebody's talking down to somebody? That's what they do. That's what they do. Mike, I do see your chats. Thank you. We're not going to keep it too long, but Divine Rod says, damn, brother, much love. My mother was born on December 12th and passed on the same day. R.I.P.
Wow.
I am sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
This
sorry
year,
to hear about your mom.
but or not, or I mean, like 2022. If that's the case, I'm very well. I mean, either way, it's horrible. But so I want to give you guys the final word on the male feminist. So Mikey, let's go to you. What when you think, especially after watching this, what do
Yes.
you think of the typical male feminist?
I go back to point number one. You know, do you want to be a man or do you want to be a woman? Okay. It's very simple. And that's why I also go back to another point that I said. I think sometimes people try to come up with these words and slang meanings, either as an excuse or to justify this is what it is, rather than, okay, if the point is you have an opinion and that's all it is, well, can we just leave it at that? Does it have to be your mansplaining? Does it have to be, for example, your behavior is XYZ, so you're red pill, or you're part of the manosphere? You're a feminist because, you act like this and this and this and this.
Exactly. I hear you. 100%.
My point is, stop complicating life. You're
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, you're female. We know that you're female. You act like a female. You think like a female. We accept that. Beautiful. Same thing with the man.
There we go.
We accept that, right?
There we go.
And we also accept as a society that men and women clearly not only are built different, think different, act different. We accept that. So why do we need to complicate it any more further than what it really simply is? And that's why we get into all of these different conversations. And
there you go. Well said, Mikey. So I'm going to give you the floor. If you want to shout out your channel, your socials, anything like that, the floor is yours.
Sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mikey. You can check me out on the Mikey Story on YouTube. Okay, feel free to subscribe, check out the videos, and definitely give it a like for the analytics. And if you want to also check me out on Instagram, that is the Mikey Story 2, the number 2. Okay, and that's all I got for you. All right.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I appreciate your opinion. And of course, you are always, always, always welcome here. You have a good one. All right, Jess, final words on the male feminist. What does that mean to you? Is that a red flag?
I wanted to disagree with him because I don't know. In my opinion, it's not that simple. He was like, "Are you a man or a woman? Like, why can't they be men supporting women? Or what's wrong with women supporting men? If that's what they want to do, I don't know. Life is complex. It isn't that simple. We aren't all.
Does it make you not a man? Does it make you not a man to support women?
No, the guy said, the Mikey Story said, are you a man or are you a woman? Like, what are you doing? I feel like those men shouldn't be shamed if they want to support women. Just like women shouldn't want to be shamed if they want to support men. I think it isn't that simple. We are all different, but I think I don't know. I think there are feminine men and I think there are masculine women, and I don't think they should be shamed if that's what they want to do.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. All right. Did you want to shout out socials, your channel, whatever you would like? The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I guess my channel is just talk about it. I don't have. Yeah, I don't know. You can drop the link if you want. But thank you for having me, and thanks for letting me clear that up because I didn't want anybody
Of
to think
course.
I was laughing at anyone's suffering. So I wasn't doing that.
I'm glad
I
you were
think I
able to
was
clear
laughing
that
because
up.
I thought it was a little absurd that they were even having the conversation. That's all.
Makes a ton of sense. Glad that you were able to clear that up, and you are always welcome up here. We got a different shade of purple in the back, and then Mike. Everybody, go check out Jess talk about it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good one. All right, a different shade of purple. I said you got to cam up, but nobody can't. You didn't cam up. I'm trusting you. I got my finger on the remove button, so if you're trying to fuck with me, I got it. But
Okay,
there
well,
you go.
I apologize. I didn't realize it, but thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate it.
Sure.
I don't know if you were actually talking about certain things, but there was just a lot of things that I wanted to talk about ever since it started. First of all, when it got started, I said that I used to be one of those people who I actually used to be a feminist. And
Oh, okay. So I thought you meant that you were the type of dude that the feminists warn about. So what do you do you want to dive into that a little bit?
yes, well, I used to really strongly believe that, I used to be a feminist. I only have a few minutes, by the way. I do apologize. I may have to drop back
Not a
into it.
problem. Not a
But
problem.
one of the reasons why I used to be a feminist was because I strongly thought that women needed to be protected, and I used to hear especially it's been a while back when I really used to listen to the Young Turks, and that got started. They started having stories about say a woman who got the R word, and yet the man who did it was allowed back onto the team. And stories like women are paid far less than men, and that was what cemented it. But then a lot of other stuff happened, and you would say that me coming from Mississippi, that a thing like feminism isn't a thing until you come to if you talk about certain things, what's the reactions that you would have that people would have about women. A lot of the same conversations will pop up. And
Right.
what happened to me was I had a lot of things happen to me because at the time I didn't know how to handle these bad things that happened. And basically some of the worst times that I've had in my life were either because of a woman or were directly influenced by women.
Shit, I said me too, bro.
And so, what ended up happening was, I discovered the red pill. I had my anger face because again, I didn't know how to deal with it. I'm just now really learning how to deal with what has happened to me. And a lot of people don't understand discovering the red pill is understanding that women are not the fairer sex. They are just as vain and egotistical as men. Where the issue comes up is where we begin to see that women are not being held to the same standards of accountability as men. This is where all the issues come up. And this is where my stance comes up on certain issues such as abortion. Okay. So I'm going to tell you.
We like to call it porridge on this channel, so we don't trigger
Porridge.
the
Okay.
algorithm. Yeah, porridge.
My apologies, man. And
No, you're good. You're good. I appreciate
I'm
it.
going to try to make sure to actually donate for the damage that I've caused here. Okay.
All right, I appreciate it.
But I actually believe that I do believe that women should have the choice. Okay. But let me just clear some things up. As of right now, it should only right now porridge should only be as needed. In other words, the R word, the I word, that happens in Alabama, in Mississippi, and in the South. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately.
And a medical emergency. After that, I do believe that they should not have the choice, and I'm going to tell you why. The fact of the matter is that men do not have the choice to be able to walk away from a child that they never wanted to begin with.
Facts.
That is the whole issue. And let's just, like I said before, Otherwise, porridge is a choice. And we know how extremely important that choice is for women. We know how extremely important it is. So those same women who would sit there and say that we need a choice will all of a sudden take the moral high ground when a man says that he doesn't want a child, he doesn't want to financially provide for a child, and say, well, how dare you? And so that's when I sit here and look at it and I'm like, hold up. So you going to sit here and say, take this stance simply so that you can get money. And let's just be clear. A lot of women are not good people. The only reason why they're having these children is for the benefits. And I know this makes me sound like I'm a hater. If anybody says that, come at me. I'll take the criticism.
So we definitely, I mean, there's definitely women who will act like that. But before we, I want to give a proper introduction to my boy Mike over here. But what do you think is the bottom line of that? Are you saying that that's a common problem, that women are just popping out babies for welfare checks, or where are we going with that one?
I don't know to say that it's strictly for welfare checks, but I will say that it makes it easier. It makes it easier. If they did not have those choices, they wouldn't be doing so to begin with. And that's the reason why we're beginning to have a lot of societal problems to begin with.
Kelly doesn't agree. And I was saying the other day that, I don't think that women are having babies for a welfare check. But if you already got 4 kids and you get an extra grand by popping out another one, then that changes things up a little bit. But I don't know how often women are just single and childless and be like, well, I can get a paycheck here. But let's bring Mike into the situation. Welcome, Mike. How are you doing?
What's up, man?
Thank you, by the way. I have to go. You have a great day.
You got to run. All right. Thank you, brother. You are always welcome. You have a good one.
All right.
All right, just me and you, brother. What is good? What did you think of all this? What is going on?
Well, first I got on because of Jess, but then she explained herself. Because at first I was pretty ticked about what she was saying.
I said, shit, me too.
I was like, whoa, what is going on here? But yeah, it just the whole thing with men is like when I first got married, I tried to put my wife on a pedestal. If she wasn't happy, right, it was my fault. I kept on working at it. And it didn't make it better until I started doing some of the red pill stuff. And it made our marriage better. She's happier for it.
That's the way to do it. And Jess is apologizing here. Jess, there's no apology necessary. We want this place to be free and open. And if you say something that people take the wrong way, we're just going to give you the opportunity to explore it more. So thank you for being here. Thank you for standing behind your words and coming up and explaining them. And then Dividing Rod, our boy, going at the 56-year-old. There you go. But yeah, I completely agree with you. What about this idea of the male feminist, especially in 1970 and even let's say in 1960? That's one thing. 1970, okay, we're getting like a little bit further away. By the 80s and 90s, certainly by 2020, what are you doing?
Well, that's what I think is wrong with progressiveness. There's never an end to it. They're never happy. They're never satisfied. We talk about, the rights for blacks, but it continues to go and go and go and go because it's never enough. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love progressiveness. I want to progress, but there is no end. That they keep moving the goalpost every time. So when females get equal rights and everything's equal, no, we want more than equal.
Exactly. We want special treatment. And that's just not what it's about. Like, the whole reason you have a movement is because there was unfair treatment. And now we fix that. We're working on fixing that. But that's not good enough.
And we don't want it. We don't want it equal. We want it fair. Sure. Like, well, I'm talking about equal. I think women and children should go off the boat first, right? I open doors for women. I don't want to change that. I don't want it to be fair like that. And I don't think women want it either. Well, I know they
don't.
don't. Majority of them don't.
They definitely don't. And it's a matter of short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. And this is going to sound condescending. So, Jess, I'm apologizing, but there's no other way to say it. And I agree with the fact the pendulum is swinging both. Well, it swings one way and then the other. Yeah, but I definitely agree with that. But I will say that this idea of feminism as a baseline almost is so deeply ingrained that it creates an inability for regular people, again, men, women, otherwise, to see what's going on through the lens of reality. Everything is through the lens of feminism. Everything is okay. Where is the oppression? Where is the inequality? Where is the whether it's and honestly, kind of goes the same way for the racism stuff as you were bringing up as well. Where's the racism? Where's the
and I'll fight for it, right? I'll fight against it. You show me where it's at. You have an ally. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, and I think if especially with like our boy Kevin here, who's
patriarchy.
He's working on ways to make sure his partner understands that if he tries to help her life, that he is a bad person. That just sounds like feminist indoctrination and brainwashing to me.
And when I hear men say that, oh, I'm not worthy of this woman. She's all, I can't live without her. I'm like, dude, this marriage is going to be a disaster. It always is.
Yeah. So Jess says, women didn't have rights for many, many years. The pendulum is swinging the other way now. Why weren't men caring when it was unfair for women all those years?
They were.
Jess, who did? Go ahead.
Yeah,
You got it. No.
That time. It was men in government. So of course men were fighting for those rights.
How do you think women got the right to vote? How do you think women got everything that women have today? You talking about a man's world. Okay, yes, it is a man's world. We done gave you that shit. We said, here, honey, you got it.
When this happened, it was majority men senators. It was a male president.
And it's just men are still in government then and now. I mean, are you? This is what we're talking about. Are you saying men shouldn't be in government? Is that what you're getting at? Because I feel like that is appropriate. If half of the population is men, then half of the government should be men. If it's a representative government, according to obviously that's more progressive identitarianism, but you know what I mean. Women made progress when they stopped putting out. They stopped putting out? When did that happen? I must have missed that one. But yeah. So I mean, I think it's
well,
it's
just
not
that statement right there. They think that we care so much about sex, that we care so much about it that we will do anything for it. That's not true. We don't need it. We'll forget it.
Yeah,
we get excited about building things and producing things. They think that that's the only thing we care about 24/7.
And Jess, I understand that you were joking, but the thing is that joke reflects a lot of non-jokes that express the same sentiment.
Right.
But I think we don't need to pick on Jess. Jess is I really do appreciate Jess being here and putting out her perspective and as much as I hate the identitarianism shit, the fact is that people who have different life experiences and different perspectives on the world absolutely do change how you can think about things. So having you guys up here to talk about this stuff definitely puts some things in context. And you guys know I have my own thoughts about everything and anything. But having you guys up here is really interesting. And, definitely puts a lot more context for me. So, Mike, I want to give you the final word on male feminists. Anything that you have to say? Any social media? Any YouTube? Anything like
No,
that?
I
To
don't have
plug?
any of that. I just really enjoy your stuff. You know, I don't always agree with you with everything, but like Ronald Reagan said, if you agree with someone 80% of the time, they're not 20% your enemy. So you're an ally, and we're going to
There you
continue
go.
to be with
I
you
love
and
it.
grow this channel.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And speaking of which, I'm sure I'll see Mike as well as some of the other people here in the Discord server for the after party as soon as the stream is over. Mike, am I gonna see you there?
Later. No, I'm going to bed.
Oh, you bitch.
I gotta
All
go.
right. Well, Mike's not going to be there, but yes, Jess is a real chick. Oh, he just dipped out. He didn't even say bye. All right. Jess is a real chick. If you were here having, or if you just scroll back, she came up on the panel and did the damn thing. Definitely go check out her YouTube channel as well as the Mikey story. Guys, it's not you two. You three. That's bad. It's when I have dude who's trying to show me prawn on his phone. It's not like I don't want to talk to y'all. That's why I want you guys to join the Discord. It's free. It's free. It's free. It's free. The link is in the description, guys. As soon as this is over, we're gonna go do like a panel, like the mastermind videos where it's in Zoom. Discord, it's essentially the same thing. We're all just gonna be hanging out and everybody has a window and everybody can talk. It's not like me, dictating whatever. That's the after party. That's the after party. That's the fun stuff. And I don't know where that's gonna go. I never do. But it's always I said shit. Me too, Chester. Before I was the Indian Jesus, I had a podcast called I Didn't Read Your Book, and it was about people whose book I didn't read. And I was like, yo, tell me about your book. Yeah, Chester's just on some Aussie bullshit. But I definitely will see him in the Discord. Again, it is free, guys. It's not always going to be free. It's not always going to be free. It's free right now. And if you join the Discord now, when I start putting a price tag on that Discord, you're going to be good. You're going to be grandfathered in. Everybody else is going to have to pay, not just pay to get in, but pay every single goddamn month. And trust me, they're going to want to. So make sure you hit that link below because that is exactly where we are going. Thank you so much for coming through. A different shade of purple. It was great to see you, and it was awesome to talk to you. Hope I will see you again, and hope I will see you over in the Discord. Divine Rod said the constant social foisting of single motherhood is a good example of the lack of standards females are held to. Can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. Yeah, and the channel is not quite monetized yet. But if you would like to help, number one thing you could do before you even send me money is hit the subscribe button. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, well, what are we doing? But if you've already done that and you would like to help me pay off the debt for this brand new system that is doing gangbusters and making these shows even better than they were before, then you can hit the Cash App or Venmo at this thing below. But you don't have to do any of that, guys. Don't even worry about any of that. The fact that you are spending time here hanging out with me is more than I could ever ask for. I love spending time with you guys, talking to you guys, and I love that we can do this. I love that I have this space, and that's the only reason why I want you to come to Discord, because the stream's going to end, but I still want to talk to you. So come through. Let's do it. Thank you so much for coming through to this party. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.